Crimson Desert developers Pearl Abyss got caught with their hands in the AI cookie jar, leading to an apology and plans to remove the AI-generated assets. Welcome to Inside Games Daily, the only gaming news show brave enough to suggest that AI assets are kind of right at home in a game like Crimson Desert.
Yeah, Crimson Desert. It's a game about volumes of stuff. So many modes and games and quests and stuff, but no individual one necessarily is bursting with artistic integrity. So, I don't know, whatever. I feel like if there's any game that is an AI slop game, it's this one. Which I don't necessarily mean as a pejorative because I'm having fun with it. But I think unless you just have a blood oath against any AI ever, I think the takeaway here is that it's kind of marvelous how attentive and responsive Pearl Abyss has been to player complaints.
I would absolutely agree. Vigilant gamer Lex Letty noticed some awfully suspicious noodle-legged horses among other telltale signs in many of Crimson Desert's in-game paintings in a Blue Sky post last week that kind of reek of AI.
Oh, yeah. You can see it all over. The bold outlines, the weird shapes. Letty also noticed that Crimson Desert's Steam page did not disclose the inclusion of any AI-generated assets at the time. So, gotcha! Finally, we were taking him down, Bruce.
This has happened so many times now at this point. To the biggest video game of all time, Expedition 33, that, maybe we need to reevaluate. I don't know. Pearl Abyss posted an AI mea culpa to X over the weekend, acknowledging that AI-generated assets were included in the game at launch.
Yeah, and it's funny you mention Expedition 33, because the explanation that Pearl Abyss offered is very familiar.
Yeah, that's right. The post explains that the studio used AI-generated 2D visual props to accelerate early-stage iteration of the game, and that some of those assets made it into the shipped game accidentally, it seems.
Man, it's weird how often that keeps happening these days. They, quote, sincerely apologize for these oversights and announce a comprehensive audit of in-game assets to replace any that are AI-generated with human-generated ones.
Ooh, can I make that art and throw it up there?
Yeah.
Do I MS Paint picture of a horse or something?
Yeah. A son with sunglasses on it? That's my favorite.
Yeah. The game's Steam page has also been updated with an AI disclosure, so now we know.
Everything's great, yeah. And while we do have a few more dramatic bits to share about Crimson Desert, let's uncharacteristically switch gears for a second and talk about some good news for the game.
For starters, the game's review aggregate on Steam has improved over the weekend from a mixed rating on Friday to now mostly positive, with 78% of reviews rating the game positively. That's good.
Yeah, it seems like there was a pretty harsh honeymoon where a lot of players had to readjust their expectations of the game to what it actually is. But now that there's an adjustment, it seems like people are still by and large liking it.
Yeah, Pearl Abyss also fast-tracked a patch for the game addressing many players' top-line complaints. What are those, Lawrence?
Oh, well, there's many, but really the speed at which they turn this around is really impressive. But yeah, for real, the patch notes are basically a parade of remedies to most of the major complaints that players have expressed. They've added personal storage for one, so now you have a chest to chunk all your stuff into if you have like old clothes you don't want to get rid of. So yeah, all that garbage cluttering up your inventory, various plants and bugs, now you can just throw them all into a box if you don't feel like selling them or giving them to your camp or whatever. They've also adjusted the game's controls. They say they've tightened responsiveness across the board. And oh my God, praise God for this. I couldn't believe that it shipped without this, but at least they added it right away. They've added direct keybinds to get to specific menus. So now you have a single button that'll take you to the inventory or the map or your skill tree or the journal. Man, I couldn't believe it. It was like flashing back to Skyrim, where even if you're on PC, you have to go through tabs and bring up a whole thing just to go to one screen. We have buttons for that. We have so many buttons.
That's right. They've also added more fast travel points, which are really needed in a game like this. They increased healing from food, and they lowered boss fight difficulty, all in addition to other tweaks and changes to make the game flow more smoothly. And flow is the correct word for this game because it can be tough to find flow in Crimson Desert.
Yeah, the train gets knocked off the tracks a number of times. I like that even the time spent to learn things has been shortened, so you don't have to stare at a bug for like 5 solid seconds before Cliff understands what a grasshopper is.
Right. Oh, that's great. But it can't be all good news here for Crimson Desert, of course. This is gaming. Gamers, they love sassy drama, don't they, Lawrence?
Yeah, here we go. All right. Despite the game's shockingly solid performance across console and PC, It doesn't support Intel Arc graphic cards on PC at all. It just won't launch if you have one installed.
Yeah, it wasn't for lack of trying on Intel's part, actually, according to a statement they sent to various news outlets. This is reported by Tom's Hardware in this case. The statement from Intel claims they, quote, reached out to Pearl Abyss many times to help test, validate, and optimize support for Intel graphics, providing early hardware, drivers, and engineering resources across multiple generations, including Alchemist, Battle Mage, Meteor Lake, and Lunar Lake.
Intel graphics cards have the coolest name. Battle Mage? Come on. But apparently all that outreach amounted to nothing, with Intel recommending that folks, quote, please reach out directly to Pearl Abyss for any info about when Intel GPU support may come to the game.
Crimson Desert and AMD kind of worked together throughout development, and they had like cross promotions and things like that. So that may have been why they weren't working with Intel as much as they were working with AMD. But maybe not. That's just sort of a guess on my part.
Yeah, that's kind of an odd topic. A lot of games will have, I don't know if sponsorship is the right word, but they definitely have like a lead partner, which is usually the logo you see before a game. I remember notably Starfield had partnered with AMD, so its performance on NVIDIA cards was a little whack. But usually games support most common graphics cards, even if they have a lead technical collaborator or whatever the phrase is.
Yeah, absolutely they do. Finally, 2 Pearl Abyss developers anonymously shared stories of toxic positivity. We've heard a lot of this in game dev recently, which could have participated in the game's lack of direction or cohesion for Crimson Desert.
Yeah, these are interesting stories, and they're not necessarily quite as bitter as some ex-developers can tend to be. But yeah, one of the developers described the development process like this, quote, if it looks cool, they just put it in. And once it is implemented, they gather among themselves to applaud.
The same dev also said that, quote, when Zelda Tears of the Kingdom came out, they hurriedly followed and made Sky Island. That makes no sense.
There's a lot of it makes no sense in these reports here. Another developer, one of the 2 here, described Pearl Abyss as having an inverted pyramid structure with an abundance of what they call leaders that all defined themselves as having a shared common vision for the game.
Huh, weird. To maintain status as a leader, one needed to always agree and celebrate any addition or progression in the game's development, leading to a culture where, quote, every head at the top of that inverted pyramid is filled with people who think exactly the same way.
Weird, yeah. And again, this makes a little more sense having played the game now. They wrote, quote, whenever they see a reference from here or there that looks good, they just shove it in. Because it became such a hodgepodge of features crammed together, the control layout must have been a mess too. And yes, it sure was. I'm kind of curious to see what this patch will do for the controls, which they say that they've reorganized and streamlined a little bit. And I kicked this opinion to the end of the episode because I like to get through the news first, but their explanation about the AI stuff, I'm gonna call a little bullshit on that. It's a bullshit call that doesn't matter because I feel like I kind of said at the beginning, Crimson Desert's artistic experience is not necessarily betrayed at all by the inclusion of AI assets. But when they explain that they used AI props in the early stage of development, there's no way that these piecemeal trinket paintings that you can collect in the game were a valuable asset in determining the game's tone in early stages of iteration. These are just volumes of artwork that themselves all have different styles or very clearly have been generated using different prompts. Like make me a Renaissance painting, make me a Dark Ages painting. And you can kind of see that. But yeah, these are just like collectible things to sprinkle around your in-game home. I don't really think that this was part of some kind of artistic ideation process. This is just stuff that they put in the game to fill it out. Now, it's possible that they didn't intend to ship AI assets, but I think one of their developers, when it was like generate 200 paintings to use in the game, yeah, they had AI do it. And personally, I'll restate my opinion here. I think in a game like Pearl Abyss, or in a game like Crimson Desert, walking into your in-game home only to have wall-to-wall AI paintings fits the game more than having a bunch of human-made paintings, because the game itself is an odd mishmash of every other influence that it can find all smashed together without any real artistic, creative cohesion to it. So I actually am totally fine with it. I kind of wish that they would keep the janky AI paintings because I think that represents the game better.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I think most people maybe didn't even have a problem with the AI, is more the fact that they didn't disclose it. And now that they've disclosed it, you're right, Lawrence. I don't care at all. It's like I walked in and literally did not bat an eye at all those paintings that people pulled up and were like, I can't believe it. Look at these horses. They have 7 legs. I'm like, I didn't even notice. I looked at those paintings and didn't even care because this game is a weird combination of medieval and then also high tech. Like the high tech, like weird loading screens, or it looks like you're going through the Matrix and things like that. It's so strange. And they attempt to explain it with that multiversal plot thing that the game sort of starts out with the Sky Islands and stuff like that. It doesn't make any sense. Like, none of it makes any sense. And that said, I'm having fun playing it, and I don't necessarily need an Oscar-winning story to get me through it. So it's like, if I see AI art or whatever, I'm kind of like, whatever. All right, yeah, I get it. I do understand that it's, number one, it's not disclosed. Number two, do like it's a full $70 retail game with AI art. That might make you sort of, hold a second and be like, well, maybe not. And I've seen a lot of people say over this last weekend, we'll just wait for a sale. We'll wait for a sale, wait for a year. Crimson Desert will settle out, and then it'll be really, really stable, and I'll have paid $30 for it.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to drop in price. Given the attention that they're putting on this game and the rapidity with which they've patched it already, I have to believe that they're kind of long haul for this game. I believe that they were probably looking for something like Witcher 3 sales, not right away, but I mean in the sense that Witcher 3 is one of the very rare single-player games that had a very long tail. And that's because CD Projekt was patching it and updating it and adding content to it. So I'm not so sure that the game's going to go on sale quickly because of that. I kind of interpret a long tail strategy for this game. They want to have it and patch it and constantly have it be that game that's there for $70, maybe $60. I could be wrong, but I don't think this is like your typical AAA game that drops half price in like 6 months. Because I think like I said, they intend to keep selling it. What I would expect, usually the strategy is the game drops in price maybe maybe 40 or 50, but then they launch expansion content, and then they have a Cliff edition, a gray main version that has all that content bundled in, and then that sells for $70 again, and that's the one that they keep at that SKU for that price for like 3 or 4 years. So who knows? Yeah, for this early edition, maybe they'll have like a game of the year. Yeah, right. Maybe they'll have some kind of edition that they resell later to get the price back up. But I'm not so convinced. You just have to wait out full retail on this one, but I will gladly be wrong.
There's so much to say about Crimson Desert. Lawrence and I may do a random like kind of review in progress type of thing because there's just so many weird choices that have been made for this game, and then also so many amazing choices. It's like I'm constantly on a roller coaster of emotions to be like, oh man, I didn't know you could summon another character and have them play along with you. Like, I've just randomly read that, where like there's another character because you switch characters eventually in the game, and you can apparently summon one of those characters to be your AI companion as you go and fight through. I know. I was like, well, that's so awesome. And then yesterday I slammed my head into this terrible puzzle that requires you to reload a save if you want to start the puzzle over. So I was like, oh my gosh, like this is just like I don't know how to feel all the time about Crimson Desert.
Oh man, I think everybody that's put some time into Crimson Desert has some kind of a what the hell was this moment. I think mine over the weekend, I found I was trying to fish, but I found I couldn't reel in any fish. I would twiggle the stick, nothing would happen. I looked it up. The diligent people on Reddit said it only works if your controller is plugged in. Not to the console, it just has to be charging, and then it will work. And yes, sure enough, I plugged my controller into the wall and reeled in a fish, no problem. So figure that one out, man. Yeah. This game really crosses some meta boundaries sometimes, and in a way you could say that that's to its virtue. Like a game like a Souls game, you're meant to discuss it with your friends and figure stuff out. They kind of did that in the same way accidentally by making such a rickety, jankety, hodgepodge game that sometimes you have to ask your friend, how do you even do this? So if you consider that part of the experience of playing the game, that's kind of cool, even if it's unintended. And is that to the game's credit or not? Yeah, it's weird. There's a lot to say about the game and somehow not very much to say at all because it's just a pile. But yeah, sorting through that pile, boy, you uncover a lot of weird experiences. You'll have to stay tuned for our at-length video of Crimson Desert because I think Lawrence and I could talk about it for a very long time. So thank you very much for watching this episode of Inside Games Daily. We still hand churn this show every day. No AI at all. As far as we know, I don't think Shooklin uses AI, our editor.
So we appreciate your time and attention. And we also have a Patreon that is maintained by hand by Lawrence. We hand select artisanal memes to go along with every single episode. And it's all free. All the content is free and the memes. So check it out if you just want to scroll memes for a while on Patreon. And we're going to shout out some viewers actually that support us directly through that Patreon with their hard-earned cash. Zach the Hack, Rooster, Caleb Clark, Subliminal Opti, and Greg Wolf. Thank you very much for keeping us 100% organic human until we have to install maybe like a cyborg penis or something like that.